Scottie Pippen started as a no-scholarship walk-on, grew 7 inches and ended up winning 6 rings and 2 Olympic golds in the same year, twice. This is also the same guy who once refused to enter a playoff game with 1.8 seconds left because the last shot was not drawn for him. So, when Pippen says there are 6 players he never respected, it's not casual talk. Some names feel personal, one name turns ugly, and number 5 goes past basketball into comments that crossed ethical lines and still raise eyebrows today. Watch closely, because this list gets uncomfortable fast. Number 1. Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen has never pretended that his relationship with Michael Jordan was warm, and over the last few years he has been even more direct about it. After The Last Dance aired, Pippen felt the story leaned too heavily toward Jordan and left him and other teammates underappreciated. He said the documentary changed how people saw their partnership, and from that point on, the tension became public. Pippen later admitted something fans did not expect. He said he and Jordan were never close friends, not during the title runs and not after. According to him, the bond was built on work, respect, and winning, not personal closeness. He even compared it to his relationship with Phil Jackson, saying those ties also faded with time. That honesty shocked people who grew up believing the Bulls were one big family. Pippen pushed back on that idea. He said the partnership only truly formed after years of losing to the Detroit Pistons. Those playoff battles forced him and Jordan to grow up, trust each other, and defend each other on the floor. Until then, they were talented teammates, not allies. Losing 3 straight series to Detroit changed everything. Jordan was getting beaten and doubled, and Pippen was learning fast under pressure. By 1991, they finally broke through, and that shared pain became the foundation of their success. Pippen has said that was the moment they truly had each other's backs. Years later, the past came back into focus. Bill Cartwright, who played with both, dismissed the feud as old noise. He said they won 6 championships and that mattered more than words being exchanged now. He made it clear he was not choosing sides and saw no point in reopening 1990s drama. Behind the scenes though, the fallout hurt more than people realized. Bulls writer Sam Smith revealed that Jordan was not angry about Pippen's comments, but genuinely hurt. Jordan felt he lost someone he valued, especially considering he publicly praised Pippen more than any other teammate. The criticism felt like a personal loss, not a media fight. The situation became more awkward when Jordan's son Marcus dated Pippen's ex-wife Larsa, turning an old basketball issue into something personal. Pippen never hid his discomfort, and the distance between them only grew. Still, the No Bull Australia tour showed another side of Pippen. On stage, he spoke calmly about the Bulls' years and acknowledged Jordan's greatness. Fans noticed he was not attacking, just explaining his perspective. It suggested he wanted respect, not revenge. When Pippen talks about players he never respected, Jordan's name comes up in a complicated way. He respects the talent and the results, but challenges how the credit was shared. Their story was never about friendship. It was about pressure, ego, growth, and winning at the highest level, even when the relationship stayed tense and unfinished. They built greatness through conflict, not comfort, and that reality still defines how Pippen views Jordan today, without pretending it was ever simple or friendly. For Pippen, respect was earned in moments when the season was slipping away and trust had to be absolute. That is why the Detroit years matter to him more than highlight reels. Number 2. Charles Barkley. Scottie Pippen has never hidden his frustration with Charles Barkley, and the short time they spent together on the Houston Rockets turned that tension into open dislike. When Pippen joined Houston during the lockout-shortened 1999 season, the idea was simple: pair him and Barkley with Hakeem Olajuwon and make one last title push. What actually happened was a clash of habits, priorities, and views on professionalism. From day one, Pippen saw things he did not respect. Former Rockets guard Cuttino Mobley later explained how different the two stars were. Pippen showed up early, lifted weights, practiced hard, and treated every day like it mattered. Barkley, on the other hand, sometimes skipped practices entirely. That gap bothered Pippen immediately because he came from a Bulls culture where work was non-negotiable. Mobley said it clearly. Scottie was teaching young players how to be pros, from what to eat to how to train after practice. At the same time, Barkley's absence created friction. Pippen could not understand how a veteran chasing a championship could be so casual about preparation. To him, that was not just annoying, it was unacceptable. The tension showed up during games. Mobley recalled moments when the Rockets could win if their stars fully locked in. But the energy was uneven. Pippen wanted Barkley fully engaged, especially when it mattered most. Instead, it felt like they were pulling in different directions, and the younger players could feel it. That frustration spilled into the media. In ESPN's Sports Century interviews, Pippen did not hold back. He called Barkley fat and selfish, responding to Barkley's criticism that Pippen wanted out after one season. Barkley said he was disappointed because he had sacrificed salary to help bring Pippen to Houston. Pippen flipped that narrative and said Barkley owed him an apology for how he approached the game. Pippen made it clear that winning required more than rebounds and points. He said Barkley did not show daily dedication, did not lead by example, and did not defend at the level required to win titles. He even said Michael Jordan once warned him that Barkley would never win a championship because he lacked that commitment. The offensive system made things worse. Houston played through Barkley and Olajuwon in the post, slowing the game down. Pippen felt trapped in a role that did not fit his strengths. His numbers dropped and his frustration grew. For someone used to Phil Jackson's system and constant movement, the Rockets felt stagnant. Cuttino Mobley later added another layer. He said Pippen specifically hated Barkley's laziness, especially in training. According to Pippen, Barkley began skipping workouts, asking to train later, then not showing up at all. Eventually, Barkley brought in his own personal trainer, which only widened the gap between them and destroyed any sense of shared culture. The Rockets still finished 31-19, but they lost in the first round to the Lakers. The season ended with no trust, no chemistry, and no desire to continue. Pippen forced his way out and went to Portland. Barkley stayed behind, publicly disappointed. Years later, the bitterness never fully faded. Pippen reignited it in interviews, again questioning Barkley's toughness and professionalism. Barkley responded by saying Pippen was burning every bridge, not just with him, but also with Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. Barkley admitted he was disappointed watching Pippen take shots at people tied to his greatest success. What stands out is that Pippen never walked back his stance. He never apologized. To him, respect was about showing up, putting in the work, and committing to winning every day. In his eyes, Barkley failed that test in Houston, and once that line was crossed, there was no reason to soften his words or pretend that partnership was ever going to work. Number 3. Patrick Ewing. Scottie Pippen never treated Patrick Ewing like a respected rival. From the moment their paths crossed in the playoffs, the tone was clear, and it stayed hostile for years. This was not a quiet competition built on mutual admiration. It was loud, physical, and very personal, especially once Pippen became the Bulls' leader after Michael Jordan stepped away. The rivalry exploded in the 1994 Eastern Conference semifinals between the Bulls and the Knicks. Game 2 delivered the moment everyone still talks about. Pippen drove hard, elevated, and dunked directly over Ewing. He did not just finish the play, he landed on Ewing, stood over him, and stared him down. Marv Albert's call said it all in real time. Whoa, a facial! Scottie Pippen in the face of Patrick Ewing, who didn't appreciate it. That reaction summed up the entire rivalry in one sentence. This was not a random dunk. Pippen was making a statement. Jordan was gone, New York thought Chicago was vulnerable, and Ewing was seen as the man who could finally push the Knicks past the Bulls. Pippen rejected that idea violently. The dunk was about dominance, and the step over was about disrespect. That clip still hits hard because everyone understood what it meant in the moment. The tension did not stop there. A former NBA ball boy later revealed what Pippen said immediately after the dunk, claiming Pippen told Ewing, "Eat these nuts." Whether people believe the exact wording or not, the reaction from Ewing made it clear something was said. He jumped up, furious, ready to confront Pippen, and teammates rushed in to separate them. That exchange showed there was no underlying respect between the two stars. What made it worse was that the Knicks won the series. New York took Game 7, ending Chicago's playoff run and handing the Bulls their first postseason series loss since 1990. Ewing may have lost the highlight, but he won the war that year. That only deepened the bitterness because Pippen never forgot moments where respect was not returned with results. 2 years later, the rivalry was still alive. Many fans think it ended in 1994, but it clearly did not. In the 1996 playoffs, Pippen did it again. Another dunk, another moment, another reminder. He stepped over Ewing again during the second round series, and the clip resurfaced decades later because the message was identical. Pippen was still sending signals he had not moved on. By 1996, the Bulls were back on top with Jordan, but Pippen's actions showed this rivalry was personal, not situational. He did not need to prove himself anymore, yet he chose to embarrass Ewing again. That is what separates simple competition from disrespect. Pippen was not just trying to win games, he was trying to break something mentally. Stat-wise, Ewing held his own. In the 1994 series, he averaged more points and rebounds than Pippen. Over their careers, Ewing scored more per game head-to-head. None of that changed how Pippen viewed him. Championships, all defensive teams, and team success shaped Pippen's standards, and Ewing never met them in his eyes. Every time Pippen dunked on Ewing, stood over him, or talked afterward, it reinforced the same idea. This was not a rivalry built on admiration. This was about dominance, hierarchy, and making it clear who he believed belonged at the top. And Patrick Ewing was never someone Scottie Pippen felt deserved his respect. Number 4. Reggie Miller. Scottie Pippen never treated Reggie Miller like a friendly rival, and that tension defined their relationship for more than a decade. They played in the same division, saw each other constantly, and there was no room for comfort. Pippen guarded Miller, disrupted his rhythm, and made every possession hard. Miller talked back, shot through pressure, and never backed down. Respect was not given easily on either side. Reggie Miller played Scottie Pippen 59 times, including 7 playoff games, and the results tell part of the story. The Bulls went 49 against the Pacers in those matchups, and Pippen's defense was a major reason. Miller knew it. That's why years later he said, he was the best Robin because he did everything he had to do, and then threw it to 23. That line sounds like praise, but it also shows how Miller saw Pippen. He was elite but always connected to Jordan. Pippen accepted that role and made it painful for opponents. Miller explained that the real damage came in the playoffs, especially in the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals. Phil Jackson made a simple decision. Scottie would guard Mark Jackson, the Pacers' main playmaker. That move changed the series. In games 1 and 2, Mark Jackson committed 14 total turnovers. Indiana's offense stalled because its pipeline was cut off. Pippen's length, timing, and discipline forced mistakes without gambling. Miller admitted that coaching decisions like that separated playoff basketball from regular season games. Players can survive 82 games, but playoff adjustments expose weaknesses. Pippen exposed Indiana's structure. The Pacers averaged under 92 points per game in the series, even though Miller was scoring. Chicago won in 7 games, and that door to the finals closed again for Indiana. Despite that, Miller said later that he preferred facing Shaq and a young Kobe over facing Jordan and Pippen. His reasoning was simple. When he faced the Bulls, both stars were already complete players. There was no learning curve. There was no hesitation. They were already at the top, and they played like it from the opening possession. Pippen did not see Miller as someone to be respected quietly. He respected competition, not comfort. That is why Pippen later said Reggie Miller was his favorite rival. He called him a great competitor and said he enjoyed playing against competitors. That statement matters because Pippen rarely enjoyed matchups unless they tested him every night. Miller did that with movement, shooting, and constant pressure. Their battles were not clean. Miller admitted he trash-talked Pippen at the free throw line about his contract situation. He openly said he tried to get under Scottie's skin by saying the Bulls were trying to get rid of him. He mocked the deal, the agent, and the long-term consequences. He did it during games, in real time when emotions were high and focus mattered most. Miller said he understood why Pippen took the deal for his family, but he still used it as ammunition. That tells you how intense the rivalry was. There were no safe topics. Everything was fair game. Money, respect, loyalty, and legacy were all part of the conversation during live play. Pippen responded the only way he ever did. He defended harder, handled the ball more, and trusted his role. He never tried to outshoot Miller. He tried to erase him. That is why this rivalry stands out. Number 5. Karl Malone. Scottie Pippen never spoke about Karl Malone like someone he fully respected on the court, even though their relationship was complicated. The tension peaked during the 1997 NBA Finals, when words mattered as much as points. Game 1 was tight, physical, and emotional. With 9 seconds left and the score tied at 82, Malone walked to the free throw line with a chance to steal the game in Chicago. As Malone settled in, Pippen leaned over and said, "The mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays." Pippen later admitted it was completely freestyle and came straight off the top of his head. He did not plan it, and he did not think much about it in the moment. Malone, a career mid-70s free throw shooter, missed both shots. Pippen said he realized the trash talk worked only after Malone bricked the attempts. Those misses opened the door for Michael Jordan's jumper at the buzzer. Bulls win, momentum shifts, and history follows. ESPN later broke down the moment and pointed out that one made free throw could have changed NBA history. Malone had been shooting well all playoffs, including on Sundays, but the rhythm disappeared after the line was dropped. What made the moment louder was that it came from Pippen, not Jordan. Pippen was usually quiet. Sports psychologists later explained that unexpected trash talk hits harder because players are not prepared for it. Pippen said he hated that the quote became public. He said people misunderstood it and turned it into something ugly. "I hate that quote ever got out because no one really got it," Pippen said. "It was more of a joke between us." He repeated later that it was not personal and that Malone was actually his guy. He explained that his brother was a mailman, which made the line more of an inside joke than an insult. Malone never made excuses. He owned the miss and said it did not bother him. He called Pippen a competitor and a friend. Still, days later, Malone fired back. In Game 4, again at the line late, Pippen repeated the same line. Malone responded instantly with, "Yeah, but Federal Express will." He then hit both free throws. Pippen reportedly shook his head and admitted Malone delivered that time. That exchange shows the real dynamic. They pushed each other, talked, responded, and remembered everything. It was not hatred, but it was not soft respect either. Pippen could admire Malone's work while still trying to break him mentally. Off the court, Pippen openly praised Malone's work ethic. He called him a beast and said watching Malone train in the weight room was unreal. He described hours of lifting, conditioning, and grinding until exhaustion. Malone's body, durability, and consistency earned respect, even if his finals moments were attacked. With Malone, it was this formula: respect the work, challenge the moment, and never ease up. That single sentence at the line was not accidental history. It was Pippen doing what he always did to players he refused to fully respect when the game was on the line. Number 6. Isaiah Thomas. Scottie Pippen's problem with Isaiah Thomas did not start with hate. It started with admiration. When Scottie was still in college watching the NBA from a distance, Isaiah was one of the players he loved. A small guard who could get anywhere on the floor, control the game, and lead a team without fear. Pippen saw him as someone who played the game the right way. That image did not survive real competition. Everything changed once Pippen entered the league and the Bulls ran into the Pistons. Detroit did not just beat Chicago, they punished them. Every drive came with contact, every screen came with a message. Isaiah was the leader of that group, and to Scottie, that mattered. Pippen said once he saw Isaiah up close, he realized how dirty he thought he was. The talk, the cheap shots, and the way Detroit pushed the limits turned admiration into disgust fast. The breaking point came over time, not one single moment. Pippen never pointed to just one play, it was the pattern. He especially never forgot the Pistons walking off the court in 1991 without shaking hands after the Bulls swept them. To Scottie, that was not toughness, that was childish. He said he lost all respect right there, and that this was exactly the behavior he expected from a team led by Isaiah Thomas. That lack of respect followed them into the Dream Team discussion. Isaiah has always been vocal about being left off the 1992 roster, and he made it clear that hearing Scottie Pippen had a say bothered him more than hearing it from Michael Jordan or Larry Bird. Isaiah openly said if Jordan didn't want him, fine. If Bird didn't want him, fine. But Scottie saying no crossed a line for him. He said, "He can't say nothing," and mocked the idea that Pippen's opinion should matter at that level. Scottie never backed off that stance. He was clear about why he didn't want Isaiah there. He said he despised how Isaiah played the game. He described him as the general of the bad boys, the one telling teammates to do whatever it took. Pippen did not want that energy around a team that was supposed to represent basketball globally. Locker room chemistry mattered, and in Scottie's mind, Isaiah destroyed that wherever he went. Years later, the tension never cooled. When Isaiah ranked Michael Jordan behind Kareem and LeBron, Scottie did not soften his words. He said flat out that he didn't agree with anything Zeke ever said, and then went further by saying he didn't agree with anything he ever did. That wasn't analysis, that was personal. Scottie wasn't debating rankings, he was dismissing the source entirely. Pippen also criticized Isaiah for what he saw as a lack of gratitude toward Jordan. Even though Scottie's own relationship with MJ has been rocky, he still believes Jordan elevated the entire league. He said he never saw Isaiah embrace or thank Michael for what he did for the game. To Scottie, that came off as bitterness, not honesty. When asked directly about Isaiah in later interviews, Scottie shut it down completely. He said if he has nothing good to say, he has nothing, and then immediately followed it by saying nothing good would come from asking about Isaiah because he does not respect him. That sentence said everything. There was no rivalry nostalgia, no softened tone with age. Charles Oakley backed that feeling up. He said Isaiah was a great point guard and deserved the dream team spot, but there was something about him he couldn't trust. That word keeps coming up around Isaiah, trust. For Scottie Pippen, once that was gone, it never came back. Drop your thoughts in the comments, tell me which name shocked you the most, and hit that like and subscribe button for more stories the box score never tells.